So many other men get lost in their dates is because it's always surface and there's no connection. So it's really important that we start to have a better relationship with sex and understanding what it's all about. Become good in bed is because you're giving her an experience and a connection, and that's how women remember.
Get down there and just assess, what's going on down there first.
All right, Michelle, let's give our viewers some knowledge here. What is a whole body orgasm?
Well, I work with men, and what a whole body orgasm is if you can imagine feeling electric throughout your whole body during your orgasm. Orgasm happens before ejaculation, and it doesn't necessarily have to include ejaculation. And that's something that I didn't even know until I became a Tantra practitioner. So some men don't even know that they can have this whole body expanded, ecstatic experience without ejaculation. And this is what Tantra is all about, bringing people back to that bliss that is possible when we integrate the whole body into our orgasm.
Oh, wow. So are there any teaching mechanisms that you can give our viewers that are watching on how to start that process? Because I know it takes a while to probably get there, am I right?
Yeah, well, what I notice with my clients is the people that meditate or pray, that know how to shut their mind off and basically be very present in the moment, those are the ones that tend to do really well, as opposed to if you're stuck in your head or you're very stressed out or you're always analyzing or thinking, which, hello, a lot of men are, that does not help our physiology to be multi-orgasmic. So what I recommend highly is for men to have some type of a quieting of the mind activity, and why not massage yourself? So this is what I recommend for people to do, because it's not empowering when you wait to meet someone that you're hoping is going to be orgasmic for you. What I teach men to do is to be the source of their orgasmic beingness. And so I recommend a very simple exercise of just deep breathing, connecting to a deep and long, slow breath, and allowing yourself to let go and practice. And this is a big part of the Tantra practices, is just inhaling, exhaling. And you can do this, for example, while you're laying down and just leaning back. And a lot of times we want to go forwards and get things done, and it's all about the action. But in reality, whole body orgasm is really about the surrender, because we're little animals and we're naturally orgasmic. It is our nature to be orgasmic. So it's not about trying to orgasm with your whole body. It's about surrendering to the energetic being that you are. And as a byproduct of that surrendering, the only thing that's left is your whole body becoming ecstatic and orgasming. And yes, it takes practice, and it's something that if you can just start to let go in general, let things go, let a past relationship go if it's really not serving you, let go of maybe trying too hard to make something happen.
To perform.
Yeah, so
think about performing.
You can use these principles not only sexually, use them in your life. You can ask yourself, where am I holding on to things that really it's not working? And the more you let go in other areas of your life, it's gonna all be reflected in your sexual relationship with yourself, because how we sex is how we everything. And this is something that sex is just a metaphor. So the men that have a difficult time whole body orgasming usually are the men that have a hard time releasing in general in their life. But that's where the linga massage is really beneficial, to have a Tantra practitioner to guide you very specifically, so that it's not something that you're hoping to do, you're with an expert. And that's, my clients have no problem, because I know exactly how to guide them. And a lot of it is about really being willing to surrender to the unknown, because when we're in that sexual bliss, we can't control it, it's uncontrollable. So it's really fun, though, the process of discovering yourself through that, because it deepens your self-relationship, and it also makes you a more juicy lover.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to do a video of about the linga massage.
Lingam
massage. And I'm going to put that up here in the cards for you. How about if, would you agree, I want to ask you a question too, because this is your avenue. Would you agree if a man was to fully surrender and open up his awareness to basically his sexuality, and let go of his thoughts and be present with himself to have that full body orgasm, that if he can have that full body orgasm basically with himself and his mindset, and let go of those worries, those doubts, those past relationships, do you think that eventually that can enhance his current relationship, either if he's married, dating, whatever the case may be?
Yes, because, and something I forgot to mention, can I add in a little tip? For the men that want to expand their orgasm, to connect, when I said the breathing, the heart is what, when we do these deep breaths, you're actually expanding your heart also. And a lot of times men, their sexuality is from the neck up or from the waist down. You know, if you're watching a lot of porn, or if you're very fixated on how you're associating sex with what you see visually, so focusing on the breasts or the curves, we're disconnecting from the heart. So what Tantra does is it helps us to bridge our heart so that we can get our heart on before we get our heart on. And then the heart is what's pumping all that blood down to your penis and helping you to be rock hard. So this is what we want, actually. And then there's a lot of men that say that they're scared of attachment. But in reality, the more you can be heart connected, the more harder your erection is going to be. And you can be in an interdependent relationship, and you don't have to worry about being attached. But if you're worried about being attached, then you're going to create more fears, and that's just going to cut that circulation. So the more we can just say, I'm just going to open up to my own sexual energy. And when you masturbate, this is what I teach clients, is to squeeze your wand of light when you feel like you're going to ejaculate, going up to a almost, and then just breathing up to your heart. So that's the practice that I guide people in when we're doing the linga massage, but we'll talk about that on the other video.
Yeah, for sure. And then I want to ask you one more question before we end this video, because we're talking about a full body orgasm. I want to know too, is there a difference, like when a man comes to you that you help him with this and basically coach him through this technique and reevaluate the way he looks at himself, do you see them telling you, and do you hear them telling you that there is a difference of an orgasm between what they've experienced, the orgasm maybe with having sex with a woman, than the orgasm that they had, a full body orgasm?
Yeah, because I mean, I'll act it out for you. So a three-dimensional orgasm that is a physical orgasm where you're going like this, let's just say that you're standing and having sex, maybe she's in doggy style and you're standing and you're thrusting your magical wand into your goddess, and then you have an orgasm and you just eject from the waist down is your focus. So men will feel their penis and the pleasure of that stimulation, and then there's this kind of like they're helping to push out their orgasm. So that's the 3D orgasm.
Got it.
So a tantra orgasm would be like this, where he's doing the same motions and so he's breathing up to his heart, still feeling that deliciousness, but then all of a sudden your whole body just starts to feel tingly and your lips are a little bit shaking, and he feels like a king, and he feels like he's 10 feet tall, and you feel me, right? So that's convinced. Yeah, so that's the difference, where you're the king, you know, it's this expansive, and when that orgasm is over, you're uplifted, you're energized. You don't just feel like you want to go to sleep, and you may have that whole body orgasm and you didn't ejaculate because you've built up that endurance. She can have, you know, she might just squirt everywhere and have a whole body orgasm, but then you can just reload and breathe some more and give her some more pleasure for the whole night. You know, you could do this for hours, because the tantric way energizes you. It doesn't deplete you, because it's about you surrendering to that natural, energetic flow of sexual energy that you are, instead of you thinking that you have to do all this work. And that's what really I'm passionate about, is just, you guys do so much already, you know? What if your sexual energy could be more about, you know, just being so yummy in your body? And for a woman, that drives a woman crazy when her man is lit up. And it's the same thing for the man when his woman is lit up. It's a whole different experience.
It is. So I just kind of want to go over, I think we have a prop, right? Let's use this prop. All right, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go over a little bit about how to,
well,
what does squirting even mean? How about
squirting
that?
is the female ejaculation, and the G-spot and squirting go hand in hand. You want to get to know the G-spot. If you're really interested in having your goddess squirt, just stimulating her clitorally on the outside, well, that might take a little longer for that to happen if you just focus on the external. So what I would recommend is for men to go internal, and this is after you've done some foreplay. Okay. Because the more a woman feels safe and relaxed and heard, the more she's gonna surrender her body to the openness of squirting. Squirting is a deeper connection to the woman's body she has to have, and more awareness of her G-spot, because the G-spot, that area swells up, and that's where the liquids are made. So for you to get in there, I recommend getting to know where the G-spot is.
Yes.
So for men, the second joint of your finger, that's where you want to go inside with your finger facing up if she's laying down this way. So you slide your finger so that the second joint is inside, and then you're gonna palpate on the upper part. So this upper area is where the G-spot is located inside the vagina. And with your pad of your index finger, you can massage around her area there, and it feels like the pit of a peach. It's a little rough on that upper side of the vagina wall, and you can go forward and back. That's very stimulating. It's like saying, come on over here, come here. And then you could also circle around, and you can also go side to side. And as you're doing that, I highly recommend taking deep breaths, because that's gonna help you to move your creative sexual energy and hers. So if you're focused on the G-spot and you're rubbing on the G-spot and G-spot, 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 that is gonna get her to feel sore, and it's just too much concentrated energy. It's a very sensitive spot. So I recommend circling around the vagina, not making it only about the G-spot, because then she's gonna feel pressured energetically that you want her to squirt or you want her to do something, and that just works against you. So what I would recommend is you can look into her eyes, and you can, with the other hand, massage her from her. So for example, can you hold this for a second?
Yeah, of course.
So let's just say that you are, maybe you're depending on what position you're in, your finger is inside and you're massaging her G-spot. You can, with the other hand, go up to her heart, to her breasts, and then come back down and take deep breaths. As you're massaging her G-spot, look into her eyes, kiss her. You can nibble on her nipples. You can scratch her nipples. You can I don't know how much I can do here, but so one finger is on the G-spot, massaging the G-spot, and the other you can caress her hair with your other hand. And instead of you trying to do it and look at it as work, just let your own sexual energy, breathe into your own sexual organs, and ask yourself, how do I want to please her? What do I want to do next? And not make it about a job or work, because then it's not fun for you, trust me. The other thing you can do is you can blow every now and then over her vagina, and blow up her belly, blow over her belly, do things with different input. We use feathers in Tantra and roses, and just having an all-out fun exploration. You can also take your nails and kind of scratch a little along her side of the side of her waist, and this whole area. This is where the yoni massaging outside the vagina first, and the thighs, and just really adoring your goddess, not making it about the squirting. And as a byproduct of all this pleasure and excitement that you've created in her, she's just gonna be so aroused that's eventually what's going to happen if you've made sure that she's feeling pleasure internally in her vagina. So get to know the walls of her vagina, massage the inside, not just with your penis, with your finger, and get to know, does she feel tense? Does she feel relaxed? You could even ask her, how does it feel there? Do you feel any different there? You know, so you could play doctor, and make it more about an exploration. Be in the wonder, be in the awe, and then of course, if you move your finger quickly, swiftly, around the G-spot area, with a lot of lubrication, make sure that you have enough lubrication. Eventually, she's going to start to feel very turned on electrically. You're even going to feel that she starts to maybe create these little contractions, and she's starting to orgasm and go into that phase of more intensity. And at that point, I highly recommend breathing up to your heart, you staying connected to your body and feeling your own energy, and then allowing that energy of arousal to be shared with her energy. So as you're touching her and caressing her and noticing how she's getting juicier, eventually that will happen. And of course, moving your finger quickly is going to stimulate those nerves even more intensely. But you really want to not overdo it, that it turns her off and gets her stressed out. Because the vagina is such a sensitive area. Less is more. When you make out while you're stimulating her G-spot, doing anything with your mouth orally is very, very sexual and sensual while you're being touched. So the mouth, the upper lips and the lower lips are definitely connected, and it'll probably be easier to kiss and ejaculate simultaneously. Both of the lips are relaxed and being massaged, you know, in different ways. But then there's some people that don't kiss their partner, you know, depending on who you're connecting with. So the more intimate and deeper the relationship, it's easier for the squirting to happen, because that's a really deeper release that a lot of women, at least I work with a lot of women, that they don't have orgasms, they don't even have a libido. So squirting for some people is like the white unicorn, you know?
Yeah, it is.
That they just have no idea what an orgasm feels like. So I would begin with a lot of the gentle massaging. That's where the yoni massage is really awesome, to get a woman to just and some women have so much tightness down there that you'd be amazed. Get down there and just assess, you know, what's going on down there first, before even thinking that you want your goddess to be remotely, you know, having that ability. It's asking a lot, is what I'm trying to say here.
It is, yeah. I definitely think, like, speaking from a woman's perspective on this, obviously as the outside and not much of the sex expert like yourself, I know for me, I've experienced, it takes time for a woman to get there. And it's more of the mental connection that she has with the man that's with her. So if she feels safe, if she feels secure, and if she feels like he's taking his time and enjoying it in the process.
It's not going to work if she's feeling rushed.
Exactly. That's a huge turn on.
Or objectified.
And I wanted to bring that up because we always feel like we got to rush this, you know, and it's like the man always is like, oh my gosh, I got to rush this because I'm so turned on myself. But taking your time and pacing, I know, is the ultimate winner for.
Well, I remember a time that I squirted where my partner said to me, we were making out and he was fingering me, and I just was so aroused at the thought that he was actually going to enter me, because I hadn't seen him in a while. He was traveling, and literally he said to me, I'm going to enter you now. And I squirt before he even entered me. But that's me, you know, that's my body. It's very open because this is the work that I do, right? Exactly. But I'm just letting you know that it doesn't even, like, we just talked about all this stimulation, but let's backtrack a little bit. If that woman is so open, that she's so aroused genuinely because you're turning her on so much because of the beautiful connection you both have with each other, that the squirting actually is just a real beautiful release. Yeah. It's a lot of releasing that arousal energy, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a lot about working the G-spot, but for a lot of people, they're not even there. So this is why I work with people, to just make them more ecstatic, more turned on, just naturally turned on to life. That influences the G-spot. So I'm glad we mentioned that.
Yeah, and I just want to close it out with this too, because I see this so much in when men are explaining their sexual, when they're with their woman sexually, that sometimes they have a tendency to be a little bit rough because they think that's what women like, and that's what will turn them on or turn their woman on, or whatever the case may be. And that's really not true, because roughness will get a woman sore down there, and also it just doesn't feel good. What feels good is taking that time, like you were saying, Michelle, and really getting involved with your woman physically, verbally, and mentally, and to bring that all together so she can get that powerful orgasm as well with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be playful about it, you know, I think like the roughness, if it's in play, a playful roughness, like come here, you know, but if if it's something that is like a overuse,
I'm talking about when
he's like,
people,
But what I know for me with the experience I've heard is that people act like it's turning them on because they don't have the power to speak up. You have to understand that women, we like to please, and we may not tell you everything exactly, so don't trust us. Like a woman's yes might be no, and a woman's no might mean yes. You all know how they say sometimes, women are crazy, you know, women are mad.
Pay attention to body language,
yes,
it's so important.
Pay attention to it, and don't even only listen to what we say, because half the time it's not even true.
And sometimes it'll break the mood. That's why women don't do that.
Yeah.
Like I know for myself, sometimes when I was younger in my 20s and I was kind of experimenting a little bit, it would break the mood for me because I wasn't totally aware of myself yet. You know, I was still in the 20s figuring myself out, a little confused, not about my sexuality, just confused about sex in general, you know, and I wouldn't know how to communicate that because I was never taught that as a young girl, you know. So I think that also did a disadvantage because it also turned me off when I was trying to instruct my partner what to do as well. So I think that was really important. So just so you know, those things can come up in a relationship, and women sometimes, not because they're playing games or because they just want you to read their mind, no, because sometimes they just don't feel safe. Yes, sometimes that happens, but sometimes they just don't know how to.
And they don't want to be rejected either by you.
Exactly. So I think body language is never going to lie. You will know by the moans, the gruts, the
dryness.
The emotions. Yes, exactly. The dryness and everything. So let's go into the hot spots of a woman. So when we create a hot spot of a woman emotionally, we can now create more of a hot spot physically, right? So there's a couple hot spots that are in women that can be in the middle of their back, on their knees, behind their knee, behind their ears as well, which is really, really good, on the neck line, on the collarbone. And so what women many times complain about to me, and when I do my interviews and kind of get an understanding about what women want in the bedroom from men, is they always say that a man can never pick up on her cues when they get to a point that they like something. So let's say that you get to a hot spot. When you get to a hot spot on a woman, typically she's going to either moan, say don't stop, or she's going to give you some type of reaction to her body of what she's really enjoying in this moment. And many times why men aren't able to stay here and pick up on these cues is because they're so stressed on making this memorable experience. How long can I last? How long do, all of this stuff, which is not even a thing that is in her mind in the moment, because she's just being present because she wants connection in that moment. So the more that you can be present in connection with her, the more that you're going to be able to just have an amazing intimacy moment with this woman. So also understand that in part of pleasing a woman, not only on the physical realm, but also happens in your communication in the bedroom. So when we get to this point with a woman, we want to understand that the both of you obviously want this. And also too, from here is, I think it's what I haven't seen or I haven't heard talk about, which I mentioned, and I go into depth into this program, is really how to establish foreplay the right way before you get into intercourse. Here's why. I just interviewed 30 women last month, and I asked them about, what they expected from their partners in the bedroom and everything. And so a couple women answered. Majority of the women, I'd say about 60% of them, and they're these women, I think only, actually they were all single. So these women said about 60% of them, when they were intimate with a man, seemed like a man always wanted to rush, right? And so it didn't seem like he was present. And they gave me little things that they would do that they didn't like, right? So
They wouldn't give her foreplay as much as she would him, and it was like they kept track of it and timed it and only did it for a moment just to get into the intercourse. And they wanted the intercourse fast. Or after intimacy happened, a towel, that was a big one. Women don't like a towel to be thrown at them, right? Like that was a big one that they came up with. Also too, another one was like French kissing. So when some women don't actually want to French kiss a man unless there is a relationship involved. And also too, like some women do. And so it was like 50-50 with the women I was interviewing. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is pretty interesting that some of these women don't like French kissing. Some of them do. So how would I encourage a man to figure out what she would want? Well, here's where I ask the women, like, what do you do if you don't want to kiss a man, French kiss a man while you're being intimate? And then all of them said, I put my hand on his chest and I pull back a little bit. So now you'll know, like some women do really want the kissing, and you'll know when she does because of how she's reciprocating. So when we try to get into the moments of how to give an experience to a woman, the reason why I create programs like this is because it's been something that I wanted to do, but I'm like, how do I do this in a professional way? How do I do this in a classy way? But how do I do this to really create that effect that women really want and get that BS out there that's not true, and really create abundance in the bedroom and in intimacy? And it's through this How to Please program. So in the How to Please program, I actually go through everything in regards to the steps that you would take with a woman, and exactly how to find her hot spots, exactly what it means to go down on a woman, to be intimate with a woman, and exactly what women think and how they like it and where. And I mean, I go into detail as much as possible. And the reason why I was able to do this is because I really just sat with these 30 women and went into detail about like what they didn't like, what they liked, and really took an understanding of like, okay, so now I need to communicate this to men, because many times women are shy and timid to actually be open about intimacy and what they want. And it's understandable because women have been shamed for years about intimacy. And now these days we're now open and talking about it. So I think it's my duty now as a woman to not only help women that are shy with talking about it, but also to help my men really create this sustainability in the intimacy and the physical part of your relationship. So if you want to, I'm going to take some Q&As in just a moment, but if you want to grab this is the last day. It is on sale for over 70% off, and grab it right now. It's in the link in the comments in the chat box, Instagram. I'm going to link it for you right now. Give me 1 second. And so what is the most important thing, do you think, guys, if intimacy? Tell me in the chat box. What do you think that what do you think that is the most important part of intimacy? Yes. Yeah, being present. Yeah, that's a great one, of course. But what else do you think is the most important part? Sorry, I was just linking this on Instagram as well. Experience, respect. I love the guys. You guys are awesome. Listening to her and taking care of her needs. Yeah, I love that. But also too, when you're able to listen to a woman and take care of her needs, she's also able, you're giving her the door to listen to you and take care of your needs as well. And so now, you know, if you're dealing with a selfish woman, if you're dealing with a woman that is really intentful with your dating and really wants to kind of give you back what you've given her as well. And I don't think that it's about a one-way street in this. It's about really taking control and adapting to what makes you feel comfortable and learning, right? Like the physical element, just like the emotional element of attraction, is a discovery process. And if we ever think that the discovery process ends, then guess what happens? Then the seduction ends. Then the attraction ends. Let's talk about and give our viewers some tips. Let's do this in like maybe a tip format in regards to how to have good sex.
The number one tip is to believe that you can. That's the number one tip, because everything starts with beliefs. Sometimes we don't feel worthy, actually, of having mind-blowing sex. We settle for average sex. That's what happens a lot of times. And so that would be the first step. Feel like a king is the second step. To really learn to love yourself, learn to love your body, learn to be grateful for yourself, regardless of your partner, because that is so yummy when a man is walking into a room and he feels 10 feet tall and he feels that he's getting his own pleasure in being himself just by being who he really is. That's a massive turn on for a woman, because that's going to be a more connected man, more connected to his heart. So if you want to have good sex, definitely those are some things to address. You know, the third thing is to remember that how sexually comfortable you are and also feeling safe with your partner has a lot to do with it, because you'll have a stronger erection. So feeling actually comfortable with the person you are having sex with, and that you have chemistry, that you have natural chemistry. Because I think a lot of times maybe we'll just like someone because physically they're hot, but then there's nothing underneath that. And so when you have this natural pull, this draw, this magnetism with somebody, that makes it so much more juicy. And you haven't even had sex yet. So then when you're in the bed, step 4, or wherever you're having sex, to be really wild and free with yourself. So not being critical of yourself. Sometimes we say things, you know, when we're so in the moment, and there's other times where we're wanting to really open up and be vulnerable and be in our, you know, maybe there's something you want her to do to you, or then you feel like you're going to be judged, or you're going to feel like you're going to be criticized. So then you're not really there. You're in your head about having sex. So the more you can just really trust that feeling connected to yourself, being in your most raw and vulnerable self will be super exciting for anyone, you know, and then you have more creativity, have fun with yourself. Don't make it a mission about performing for her. Let yourself feel more the pleasure of yourself and how you can share that pleasure of connecting with someone sexually, but so that it's actually you enjoying yourself and enjoying yourself through her, not just fixating on getting her to orgasm.
Yeah, so I think that also, I was thinking of something when you were talking, leads into, I guess, tip number 5, I think we're at, is taking your time. You know, taking your time is really, really important, because we rush to give an experience. You know, I say we, like if I'm a guy, but I always do that in all my videos. But
and for a woman to build up that orgasmic pleasure.
Yeah, I think it's like really about like understanding that it's an experience for a woman and not just a result, because men are very proactive and like, okay, give me the answer. Okay, give me the quick result when I watch this video. Give me the 5 tips right away. And that's how they're mentally, as I did a lot of studies on how the human mind works from a difference of a male and a female. And that's how we, as men, that's how men instinctually go into things. And when you are going into wanting to be good in bed and understanding how to be good in bed, one of the biggest things that I've noticed is just being present with a woman and taking your time and maybe teasing her in the process, because that is part of taking her time. Yep, which we made a video about. Yeah. And I'll put it here in the cards. And that's like a big thing, right? And that's how you become good in bed, is because you're giving her an experience and a connection, and that's how women remember. And I think too, for tip number 6 on not only taking your time with how to be good in bed, but also educating yourself. Tip number 6 is there's so much shame around sex, right? And there's so much shame around sex because of possibly, you know, your parents didn't talk about it when you were growing up, or possibly some incident happened when you were younger. There's a lot of like people that have been molested, unfortunately, out there. There's a lot of negative connotation. There's STDs around sex. So it's really important that we start to have a better relationship with sex and understanding what it's all about and educating what you haven't learned, because a lot of times in households, unless you're a sex expert, you know, you'll be open with your children and talk about sex freely and make it a conversation. Sometimes I've seen some families where they talk about it on the dinner table.
And I think
because it's a natural part of life.
Like being that I have a background in physical therapy, know your anatomy, know your sexual body anatomy.
Yes.
And know hers. Know where her clitoris is, know where her G-spot is. We have videos for that, how to locate it, and know how to arouse her and be curious, have a desire to arouse her other than just her sexual parts.
Exactly.
Because just fixating on that one part is not going to have her be more in touch with her whole body. Remember that your whole body can actually be a way of stimulating her. And kissing her while you're touching her, you know, kissing is such a yummy way to get her juicy, and it stimulates a lot that sexual energy, stimulating her nipples. So taking all of her, even just like pulling her hair and her whole body being a part of your experience is really helpful to have some good sex.
Yeah, exactly. So education is a huge thing. That's why I'm so happy that we brought that up, because a lot of us lack that, and everything in life, you got to take the time to explore and really educate yourself in life, you know, and that's with love, relationships, sex, your job, everything. And if you want to be the best at it, then that's where it really starts from, and having a good relationship with that. And that also leads me into tip number 7, as you were talking, because I got another understanding about this is, you know, not a lot of women like to kiss, I'll be honest. Like, there's some women out there that are not kissers. And, you know, this is an international channel. It has a lot to do with different cultures and styles and things like that, where people aren't drawn to that sometimes. So number 6, was this tip number 6 or number 7? Number 7, okay. Tip number 7 is really about understanding how her body responds to what you're doing, right? So if we're in the present moment with a woman where you're saying the full body, you're in it and just exploring her body, you also want to see how she responds to things, right? So that's part of being a good lover and how to be good in bed. Yeah. And then lastly, I think we were talking about this before. We did the video, I think tip number 8, and we'll close it out here. Look at me, I'm like coming in with all these hot tips. Is what were we talking about? Language.
Oh, the words that you use, So the power of words is very strong in getting someone to be more aroused. And for example, for a man, whatever she's doing to you that you enjoy that she's doing, you can reinforce it by saying, "Oh, babe, I love how you're stroking me." Or, "Oh, I love how it feels to go deep inside you." And you can look into her eyes when you're saying that, and that just makes it even more intense. And so you're using words, you're looking at each other, and it brings you more in the present moment too.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad we said that. Any more tips for our viewers, Michelle?
Just remember, it does take her some time to get juicy down there and for her vagina to swell up. So pay attention to that. If you expect to just penetrate her immediately because you're super horny, maybe you didn't see her for a while and now she's here, remember to slow down and just pay attention. Does she feel like she's ready? Because that's something that, don't make it just about yourself. This is why yoni massage, massaging her vagina, that's a beautiful experience that a man can do to a woman, and really making sure that she's super ready for you, maybe even like she's dying to have you be inside her already, and anticipating the next step. I think that's really great when a woman feels that he's doing what she wants him to do. So getting out of our head and feeling her more and being with her, being present with her. What am I feeling right now? How can I continue to be in this dance with her rather than I need to get her to something?
Yeah, the instant result, what we were talking about earlier.
Enjoy, be curious, play. You know, there's so many different things you can do. It's limitless.
Yeah, and find someone that's your match sexually too, you know, sometimes, or train them to be, you know, educate them on the why. And you can be a leader in that aspect, because also this channel is created for you men, but the tips that we're giving also are for women, and understanding like they have to have a healthy relationship with sex, because there's some women out there that don't. And then if you do, you can lead in that way as well. And I hope this helps you with your relationships, your sex life, because we do want you to, you know, get the advice and real substance advice when it comes to just being better sexually with women. And that's why I brought Michelle on my channel. Thank you.
Those deep breaths, those deep tantric breaths, breathing together. That's one last tip I would love to add, is that slows us down and that helps your blood flow, your circulation, the energy flow, to keep you more in your body, and making sure that she's also breathing, because sometimes we hold our breath, or if it's too intense, we have more shallow breath. So the deep, slow, long breaths will help to make it all more sensual and fun.
Awesome. Well, I want you to take these 6 things that I'm talking about into your love life, your relationships. When you are intimate with a woman, whatever. And I want you to really tailor these to customize what you're going through possibly in your intimate lives. I'm going to give you these 6 things that women really wish that you knew. And I want you to start to experiment with it. And I think that this is really going to help you because this is true in regards to women. So number 1 is foreplay. She wants you to understand what type of foreplay that she might like. Some women don't like certain types of foreplay, but also too, I think it's really important to understand that foreplay doesn't just happen in the bedroom. It happens also before. The teasing, the light touching, and the creating that tension is really important. That is also a format of foreplay. And we talk about this in the Master the Bedroom program that Natalie and I put together, where we go deeper into this and actually give you techniques and how to go down on a woman the right way and so much more. And I think that this is really important because a lot of women, some women don't want a man to go down on them because they're insecure or they don't like it, or some women love it, you know? So it's really about having that communication, having that conversation around it, or dabbling and seeing how her body responds. Number 2 is dominance. Women want you to take control in the bedroom. Typically 90% of women do. They love a man that is dominant, that can smack their butt, not smack their face across and throw them against the wall, but throw them across half of the room, but literally maybe dominate them, put them against the wall, and actually give them that dominating experience where she can see you in your masculine, which is actually a turn on for a woman. Of course, you're not going to be so strong and aggressive during this time unless this is something she's asking for, but you're also going to showcase dominance and take control from time to time. Flip her over when you need to, right? And just push her up and actually take her body and show her that you are dominating her, but not take her body in a way where you're straining her, but giving her that experience of that type of environment because it makes it more passionate for her and it's easier for her to then be feminine. And this is also, I would encourage you to also do this with these other things that I'm going to tell you. Number 3 is your presence, is really being in the moment. Women can tell when a man's thinking about anything, other things, or isn't really present and just wants to do wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and isn't really present with her. You want to be present with her body. You want to be present in the experience that you're having with her, looking at her arms, touching her arms, her hair, her face, her back, her legs. How are you being present in that moment? Eye contact from time to time and really being there with her. This creates an ultimate experience for a woman to actually remember this experience with you because it's not all about, how long you lasted, which I'm going to go into number 5. But number 4 is hot spots. Hot spots is really important, like the back of the neck. Women want you to know their hot spots because when you just try to go in and have penetration, there's nothing that has been created for me to even want to embrace you. So hotspots can be on the wrists, the neck, the ear, the back, the lower back kissing, the lower upper back kissing, the chest area kissing, and the waistline, because this is what helps you also be able to see her hotspots and where she wants to be touched, her inner thighs possibly, and this is so important. I want you to download this free questionnaire that I made, and we have a bigger one in the Master the Bedroom program, but it's a free questionnaire in regards to a cheat sheet of questions that you can ask your partner to get to really know what they like sexually, kinks and all. So I want you to download it. It's a free one. We only have a couple of questions because we have the bigger one in our program. Next one is number 5 is you take the time to really get to know, be with her. So you're taking your time. So you're not doing the wham bam thank you man. And you're not thinking that I have to spend 40 minutes penetrating her. Whoa, that's just not good. Majority of women don't want to be penetrated that long. We can actually have an experience with you in the bedroom for 40 minutes, but it's not all penetration that whole time. And this is what I'm talking to about. Women go back to their friends and talk about how great the sexual experience was. It's not just because you were trying to do a wham bam thank you ma'am and just that's it and penetrate. It's more about what did we create leading up to that and during that, right? How present were we during that? And so taking your time is so important and not just trying to just go in and have sex right away. And dabble in the foreplay. dabble in just the hot spots and take your time through it and tease her through this a little bit until possibly she's begging to have you. That is really, really, really great when you can do something like this. Now, if you want to be better and knowing how to master the bedroom, I have a secret video here for you. This is really good, not on YouTube anywhere. I want you to click below in this box below. Coach Natalie has put together a video that she talks about really mastering the bedroom and what women are looking for and giving you tips to take away just beyond just this video that we showcase elsewhere when we don't do it here. So go ahead and download that, enter your email, and we will send it to you right away. So with that said, I want you to focus on this. Number 6 is recognize her beauty. This is so big. There's 9 out of 10 women have suffered from just body shame because of what we go through. And a lot of women are confident with their body to an extent, but also too, there's a lot of women that aren't. And even if she is confident with her body, when a man can embrace her body and say, wow, you look so beautiful right now, right? Your body is perfect. Gosh, your hips are amazing. Your ass, your butt, whatever you want to call it, is amazing. And you're in that moment with her and you're complimenting her and her beauty and her body. What happens is she has the freedom to open up more to you. And this is where she can probably reach an orgasm better too, which we talk about in the Master of the Bedroom, because a lot of times women are so self-conscious about their body. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm on top of my hair. I have to cover this. I have to do this. Oh my God, do I have flab here? And it's like, it's so hard sometimes to get in that moment. And so when a man can show that he is just taken back by her body and her beauty when he's in the bedroom with her, this, guys, works like a charm.
Do this to get her addicted to you. Hi guys, I know that you are here on this video because you probably have a woman in mind that you are wanting her to either want you more, or maybe you just really want to get good with women. And I feel you on that. And in this video, I'm going to give you that. And I'm going to give you examples and actually what to do in regards to how to really get a woman addicted to you. But before we get into it, I just have to say something here. A lot of times when you see videos like this, you're looking for games, gimmicks, and tactics, or there may be a lot of videos that show you that. Now, those games, gimmicks, and tactics, I don't really appreciate too much. And I do think that these type of videos actually don't give you end results and can get you in worse of luck than you already are, failure like you're in, or can get you down to the chasing mentality and really get you attracted to possibly the wrong person or attracting the wrong type of people. So I just want to say that in my videos, if this is your first time joining my channel, I give you really solid advice in order to maintain overall when it comes to women, dating, relationships, and life. So what this video is not going to give you is these games and gimmicks and tactics, because a lot of times we're looking for the quick resolution and we're looking for also too instant gratification. And that's where we're going wrong, because you can't get a quick resolution when it comes to dating and relationships, especially if you're trying to get better with them. So that is what's so, so important, guys. Now, when you are trying to get a woman addicted to you, there's maybe 2 to 3 reasons why you're trying to get her addicted to you. 1, she's not giving you so much attention. 2, you're trying to get her back. Or 3, you're just trying to get good with women because you really crave this woman. This woman is different from all of the other women that you're telling yourself, right? So a lot of times we find ourselves wanting this woman to get addicted to us that we get so infatuated with this outcome of how this woman should be, how she should be treating us, and why she doesn't give us this validation. Let's be honest. All of us want some type of validation when we find someone that we like. It feels good to be admired. It feels good to be wanted. But in this case, what I want you to really look at before I give you the real stuff on really what's going to get a woman addicted to you is really find out if this is the woman that is best for you, or if this is the woman that meets your criteria. Because a lot of times when we are looking into this woman and like, I gotta get her addicted to her, we start being infatuated with this woman. We start to think that if I get this woman to be with me, then I will be happier. If I get this woman to be mine, I'm going to be looked at as more as a man. Or if I get this woman, I won't be lonely, right? So what happens here is we actually automatically tell ourselves in our mind and our heart, everything else you want to call it, that this woman
is the right one for us when we're really not even sure if she's the best fit for us. But because we've been overcompensated by the thoughts of what we think the reality would be to be with her, sometimes this can not play in our favor. And let's say that we've even had a relationship with this woman and the relationship wasn't even that great. Think about, is it the best woman for you as well? Because in order to really get a woman addicted to you, you also want to make sure that you're setting yourself apart from her. And this is what I'm going to talk about in this video. And make sure you stay to the end because I definitely have something I want you to listen to. Now, trying to get a woman you want isn't the best for you, of course. But here's the thing, guys, is in order to get a woman addicted to you in regards to wanting her to want you, let's just say, wanting her to admire you, is confidence. Confidence does not lie in a man. It doesn't lie. It speaks loud and clear without you even having to say anything, because it's the energy that you've portrayed behind yourself that becomes a magnet, and your desires for yourself are deep rooted within you. So it's easier for other people to want and to desire you. You understand? Confidence makes a woman want to find out more about you. Confidence makes a woman desire and actually look into this as the mysterious component of, why is he so different? How does he have this confidence? Because confidence is magnetic. So what happens is, think about it. Man, woman, friend, it doesn't matter. When you have a confident person in front of you, it's kind of like you have this magnetic energy to them because you want to see why they're so confident, or their word or what they're saying is something that you want to listen to because of the way that they're saying it and they embrace themselves. It captivates someone's attention. So why wouldn't a woman want and desire a man who would be confident? Because she would. And so with that said, in order to find your confidence, we have to understand that if we don't have confidence within ourselves and our relationships, this will backfire in our relationships because of insecurity. And this will not get someone addicted to you, man or woman. Think about it. Insecurities can show in a lot of ways. And this is where, when I said in the beginning of this video that we always want this quick solution. We always want to have this instant gratification, right? But here's the thing, is if we're masking with tips, tactics, and games and all this stuff, what happens is we're masking the deeper work of what we need to work on if we have these insecurities. Because we can put them in the back burner, close the door and say, these insecurities will never be shown. But guess what? Once you get triggered in some way and have some emotional charge towards your relationships, two things will happen. One, you're going to dismiss your insecurities and they will come out passively aggressively in your relationships. Or two, you will not be able to connect with that woman that is in front of you. So there'll be no emotional connection and you'll still end up in the same route, meaning no connection at all with a woman that you want. So what's really important here is that we dive deep into the insecurities and find out, why do we have them, uncover them, and heal them as well, because confidence does not lie. Also, you want to build a life that you love, a life that you love. Keyword, you. Why? Because if you don't love your life, how do you see someone else going to be able to participate in that life with you, right? It's literally like you want to have a relationship sometimes, and I see people want to have a relationship sometimes, but yet they're not happy with themselves. And so they're going to find people that are going to meet them right there. And it depends on what level do you want to be on, right? Because in order for a woman to be really somewhat taken back by you and really admiring her man, it takes a man to want to know himself. It takes a man that has confidence. And also it takes a man that builds a life that he loves. And guys, I'm giving you factual stuff. I'm a woman myself. And I know, speaking from experience, that dating men that didn't have a life that they loved, it was boring. And it's not that you have to be this adventurous, amazing guy and have such a busy schedule that you have no time for dating and women. That's not what I'm saying, because that's avoidance. What I'm saying is really think about, what are you doing to give back to our world? What are you doing that is your passion? If you wanted to play guitar 5-10 years ago and still haven't done it, why haven't you picked up the guitar? How many books are you reading a month, a year? What are you doing? Are you working out? Are you exercising? What are your hobbies? What are your skill sets? And what are you advancing in your life and always craving for more learning, maybe more discipline? Things like that to better yourself. A lot of times we think, oh, because this man makes $100,000 a year and I make $500,000 a year, I'm better than him. No, actually, the guy that makes $100,000 a year doesn't have to compare just because of the fact that the money that he makes, and this is where men go wrong. It's about the life that you create with the money that you make. You understand what I mean? And so I'm not saying that there's not women out there that only want a financial secure man. Yeah. And I've done videos about that. That's a whole nother topic. But what I am saying is, what I've noticed with a lot of my clients in general is a lot of times they compare themselves to other men. And they're like, well, this man has this much money and this man drives this car. But yet, what is his life really about? So here's the caveat to all of this, guys. This is where this all goes away. If you balance yourself and embrace a life that you love, you won't have to worry about another man, because you know what it takes to own and to be where you are today, because you've established and created a life that you love. So what happens for a woman is, when a woman sees this in a man, not only does it give it confidence, but it gives security to another level, and it also gives leadership. So let me break down the two. With women, as you know, we always look for something that's going to be more emotionally and stably secure because of the way that we're wired. So when we see a man that has his life together, enjoys his life as well, this creates abundance within us. So then that shows us that there is some security here, but then also it shows us excitement on the other side. It shows us disciplines in some ways in his life. And also he can lead by example in some ways too, because we automatically can admire him and hope that he would admire us as well. You see what I mean here? So when we create and establish a life of abundance, what happens is you automatically step into your flow. And when you step into your flow, you start to attract women at that caliber instead of attracting women at a lower caliber because you're not at flow. That is the key, guys. And so many times we're trying to get in relationships and get this woman addicted to us, which goes back to the first thing I was saying, that we don't even know if this woman is the best woman for us because we might not even be in flow. So one of the things that I want you to find out about yourself is ask yourself, in what areas of my life can I perform better in my life? What areas of my life am I seeking to get better in? And maybe that's not in the monetary sources. Maybe you're great in work, you're making great money, you're driving a nice car, you have a nice home, you have great friends, you have a good body, I don't know, whatever you want to say, you're working out, everything, right? But how about in here? And how about in here? Have we ignored some of the stuff that's going on in here and we can't connect? I had a client that I was talking to the other day, and he told me, Apollonia, I don't have any problem. He was an amazing guy, had a great career, had a great life, no issues with women. His issue was finding the right women because of the fact that he's adapted to all these games and tactics, and he's not getting the women that he wants. And he's feeling lost, he's feeling empty, and he's feeling insecure with this. And that's what happens to a lot of men because, yeah, those games, tactics, everything will get you in the door and you'll have fun. But when you want something deeper, it goes beyond just that, guys. Now, when we are able to know our standards, here's the thing, guys. When you create and build a life you love, you have security and you can lead intentionally, but also you create a standard for yourself. And a man that has standards for the women he dates and does not just take whatever he can get, sticks out from so many men. And so it's really important that you find a woman that also wants to build something together with you, not just make sure that she is a cute thing on your arm unless that's all you want and you want to be maybe some type of unfulfillment in your life, or maybe that does fulfill you, whatever. But at the same time, what is that woman offering you? A lot of times men don't get taught to have standards with the women that they date. And that is something that is really important in my practice, because we need to stop dating blindly and level up in the women that we're asking for. Especially if women are asking men to level up, why can't men ask women to level up too? So then what happens is the women that are leveling up and the men that are leveling up will finally embrace each other and find each other. Because what happens is, if you're not going to build the life you love, create the confidence that you want, and understand that maybe the woman in front of you might not be the best choice, but you need to figure it out yourself and actually have standards and know what type of woman that you want in your life, and embrace the things instead of the chase of, I need to get her back, but yet she's not building something and creating something, and maybe she's toxic, and maybe she's tearing you down, and maybe she just doesn't respect you, but you want to get this woman addicted to you. Why? Because it's a pattern that you have chased, because you are addicted to the chase of the validation of a woman that you cannot get. And so I ask you to have standards for yourself. If that is you, then have standards for yourself. Because here's the thing. If you uphold standards within you and build the life that you want and build the confidence you want, you will easily find women that meet your standards as well. But we have to go to the right places, act on the right things, and become that person so we embody what we want to attract. And next, in order for women to really get addicted, we could say, of course, to you, is we want to exude that masculine energy in your leadership skills. A lot of times I've heard women complain, and I know a lot of my men don't do this. And if you did, you don't do it anymore because you hear on my channel. But I want you guys to really know that a lot of women complain when men just say, oh, let's meet up on Monday, but then never hear back. And because you're playing this game, or you don't set up a date and you're like, where do you want to go? Let's go Monday. Okay, where would you like to go? And there's this indecisiveness that happens in between. So planning dates and being able to make decisions, and having also too, in that masculine component, that masculine energy, is that emotional control. I want you to think of this as like a magic carpet ride, right? When you go on a date with a woman, you're giving her mixed emotions, right? And when I say mixed emotions, it does not mean that you are playing like you're telling her you like her and then your next second you're saying, I don't like you. No, that's not what I mean, guys. Mixed emotions, meaning that you are giving her this roller coaster ride, meaning you are able to have conversations with her beyond a surface level, and then on a surface level, then you're flirting with her, then you're showing emotional balance where you're just being more fun and playful, and then you get serious again. We're showing her different modes of you, right? Because this is where you can really play along and really attract a woman, is by seeing how many different reactions and emotions and experiences that you can give each other. Women really love it when a man can go on a date that she likes, have a deep conversation with her, communicate with her, make her laugh, she makes you laugh, flirt a little bit, get serious a little bit, have surface level conversations, deep, flirt, fun, and that's it. Right? You have to think of it of all little things that happen. And I have a lot of videos about how to converse with women and how to convert and have deeper conversations with them as well. But one of the things, what I want you to do here is understand that when we are planning our dates and where we are trying to get better at courting a woman, yeah, a lot of you guys will say, oh, why do we have to do all the work? Why do we have to plan the date? Why do we have to court the woman? Good luck with that attitude, guys. I mean, come on. Like that's where we get into the point where it's like victim mentality. And it's like, don't be like that. If you want to get results, let's stop blaming everybody else and just show up for the best you possible. Now, next thing in order to get her addicted to you is you want to pick up on her cues. Women will flirt with you on a date when they are intrigued by you, when they like you, and it'll continue. So when she starts to flirt with you a little bit on the date, stay there with her. Don't get shy, don't ignore it, and pick up on it, right? So here's the thing is a lot of times we get shy or we think, oh, I got to be this nice guy and I can't flirt with her. And a lot of times it's because we've never done it before. So I would ask you guys to really get comfortable with opening up and being able to flirt with a woman as well. And if you want to get better with flirting, I think it's really important that you not only overthink it, but you really pick up on her cues as well. And you really lightly flirt with her. As soon as she starts to flirt with you, you start to kind of pick up on what she's giving you and you start to mirror what she's doing on your dates. And this is a way that you can continue to have this banter with a woman on the date and then get back into your serious conversation and then banter again and just let this idea just flow into your dates. Now, next is you need to focus on connection. So I know I talk about getting her to, you're flirting with her and there has to, but let me be honest with the flirting too. There has to be a level of desire from the woman in order to flirt with you, right? So in order to build that level of desire, what we will do is we will literally need to build a connection. And so how do we focus on connection? First of all, focus on connection. And so remember in the beginning of this video, I talked about if you have standards in women, you won't be dating blindly. Well, when we get clear on the standards that we want to have in the women that we date, we start to know how to connect consciously and subconsciously. Why? Because now we're not dating blindly. So we start to ask questions. We'll start to ask better questions to the women, and we start to really get intrigued by their personal stories, their life, and stay there with them, right? And find similarities in the conversations that we're having with them. And this is ideal because when we focus on connection, this is where so many other men get lost in their dates is because it's always surface and there's no connection. When a woman can connect with a man, that is something that she remembers. And that right there is something she will also literally get addicted to you about. And another thing that's so important about all of this is that when we become our best selves possible, we will attract the best version of ourselves. Because if I look back on all my dating, and I think so many of you that are watching, and I want you to look back at your relationships right now with me. And I want you to look back in your relationships and ask yourself, were you that best person possible? And if the answer was no, look at the person that you dated. And they probably met you there pretty similar, but different flaws or different things that happened in the relationship, right? So in order to attract the person that we want to complement us in our life, we need to create that life that we want someone to complement us in, right? So in order to attract the best for ourselves, we have to become the best version for ourselves. So once we do, we don't get so sidetracked in trying to make something work, because there's so many times that I've seen men trying to make something work with a woman that literally is not good for them and is not even good for herself, because either they want to fix her, they want to help her, they want to save her, or they are lonely, or they're just trying to make it work because they put an investment in it, or they don't even know why they're chasing her in the first place because they then become infatuated with the chase. So what's important is that you stick up for the opportunity to find your lack in these relationships that you might be seeing yourself in, because in order to really truly get a woman addicted to you, you have to be your best self. And not every woman is supposed to get addicted to you, because why would we want every woman addicted to us if they weren't the right woman for us, or a woman that's going to create a lot of drama, and the same vice versa for women. I wouldn't want a man to be addicted to me that wouldn't be in a well-established place for him. And let's put some sauce to this as well. Sauce to this, whatever I'm saying. But addictive means you just want someone to admire you. I want to calm down that word a little bit. The reason why I use these words is because guess what? It brought it here to your video, but also it's so important for me and for you to understand that the healthy balance of this is for you to understand who you are within yourself, so you can complement someone in the relationship and she can complement you. A lot of times I ask men, why do you even like this woman? and this woman, and they just say, oh, she's nice. You know, we have a lot of hobbies. We have a lot of similarities. She likes yoga. She likes to hike. She likes this. Okay, but how can you build a better life together? How does she compliment you? Does it just flow, or do you feel like you have to always force it, right? And so a lot of times when we're forcing things, it's because we're just not creating the desired element of seeing exactly what it is that we want. So what is your desired element for a woman? I want you to think about that. What is your desirable thing? It could be, I want her to be respectful. I want her to be attentive. I want her to be trustworthy, right? So if those are your desired elements, I want you to really figure out, what does that look like to you? And then ask yourself, is this woman doing this for me? Is this woman the right one for me? Because there's too many men out there chasing the wrong women when the right one is there waiting for them. Seduction does not happen until you create trust, until you create comfort and attraction, which is the first thing. And I talk a lot about this in my No More Friend Zone product and how to create that attraction and get that mindset overall that women crave and desire. Now let's get into it. A lot of times when we think seduction, we think sex, right? Sex. And it's not that. Seduction is I like to call seduction the foreplay of emotional connection, right? Because when we think of seduction, we think physically, right? I gotta kiss her, I gotta hold her hand, I gotta rub her back of her waist, I gotta show her that I'm a man, and I gotta take the lead in this stuff. But that's not how you lead into seduction, guys. That is actually that's a very big red light for a woman if you haven't done these things, that tactics that I'm going to give you. Now, the number one thing too, in regards to leading to seduction and what women crave, is we crave that connection through communication. I'm going to break down what I mean by this. Is you make things interesting on a date, right? And you go back and forth with communication. Women are not looking for a man that agrees with us all the time. Women are not looking for us to tell you what we believe and what you should be doing. Women are looking for connection in a way where you can disagree at times and share your opinion. Women are also looking for someone that they can learn from, even if they want to admit it or not. And women, I know I don't have a lot of you viewers on this channel, but comment below, because men need to understand, and we got to get real with men in order to understand, because there's so many women out there that are complaining about men, and there's so many men complaining about women too. But at the end of the day, what we have to understand is we have to master the human psychology behind this and stop being lazy in regards to not understanding what this means. So mastering communication on your dates does not mean I'm just going to show up and see what happens. Do you say that at a job interview? Do you say that if you're a CEO in a big position, do you say, I'm just going to show up to work and see what happens? No, you go in there with a plan. You've already articulated yourself. You set goals. You've studied. You've understand different employees possibly and different companies that you have to pitch to or work with. What makes you think that you can't do the same thing within your lives and relationships and love? And this is where we get lazy, and this is where we get our heart broken. We get into toxic relationships. We get confused. Then we place blame, and then we go into victim standpoint because we're not educating ourselves. And so why I get so big on this is because communication is the key to educating. And so once we get open with communication and we look at someone in front of us, is let me see what she has to offer me, as well as she can do the same for me. So going back and forth in regards to asking her deeper questions, which I have specifically made for you guys to help you out. It's called my 20 question manual to get to know a woman's true self. And in there it's free. I have 20 questions for you to ask a woman. Typically, I ask you to do some of these on the second or third date because this is where you deeper a connection. Now, type of seduction women crave, number 2, is you show interest, but you understand balance. Okay, so there is something that I like to call in my ebook that I talk about is you dive in 3 feet of water, but you don't swim to the deep end. Because you have to swim to the deep end in order to dive right back in, right? But what we're doing in dating, in relationships, is we're diving head in first and just giving everybody our all. And we expect someone to fulfill a need that we haven't been able to fill within ourselves. So the reason why I say this is because when we go into relationships and we aren't invested in ourselves, we tend to show interest or attach, which I have a lot of videos about codependency and things like that, and love addiction and things like that. But we tend to attach and we show interest without understanding balance of interest, right? So I always say this too in some of my coaching sessions with men when they just really need me to break it down for them, and I'm going to do it here with you, is I want you to picture your best friend. Who is your best friend in your life right now? Okay. That best friend that you have in your life right now, the first day that you met them, did you call them your best friend? Probably 99.9% of you said no. And that 1% probably just wants to say yes, just to disagree. So with that said, what I have to be honest with you about here, and I want to break it down, is because the reason why you didn't choose for this person to be your best friend since day one was because you had to see this person and if you can trust them, right? And also see what else, if your values were aligned, if there's similarities, if you felt comfort around them, if, you know, they were there for you in the times that you needed to be there for you, they needed to be there for you, and you vice versa. It takes time. This is balance. But what we do is we expect external, which we can call friendships, families, to meet our expectations. But once we get that feeling of someone is going to comfort me, someone is going to show me that minute of affection, someone is going to be there for me where I don't feel lonely, we dismiss and we get imbalanced in our emotions and we get imbalanced in our interest, right? So what's really important is to show interest, but with balance. The same thing like you did with your friend. You took time to get to know this person. You showed interest here and there, but you still went about your own life as well, and you didn't forget about that. This is the type of seduction that women crave. This is a key point of seduction, men. This is why this video is going on, because I'm trying to give you in-depth really knowledge and understanding how we process things, and also too to benefit from you, for you too. Now, the next thing in regards to the type of seduction that women crave is be intentional with your needs and understand and remember certain things. So for example, let's say you're on a date, right? And she says, I don't know, I'll give you the most easiest example. My birthday is next week on Saturday. And you totally forget about her birthday. You don't send her a birthday text or a call or a card or whatever, okay? Or let's just say she says that she's so scared of heights, but you plan a date and it's rock climbing. And she's like, I just told you I was scared of heights. You didn't warn me, you didn't do anything. It shows that you're not remembering certain things. And women love when a man can remember certain things. So also, with tip number 2 and tip number 1, remember certain things, but be intentional too to her needs, right? So intentional too means like I'm intentional because, listen, I would love to do rock climbing with you, but I know you're scared of heights. This is a phone call or, you know, face-to-face conversation you're having. But I know you're scared of heights, so I want to make sure that this is something you don't want to do. And if not, or you do want to do, and if not, you let me know. I kind of wanted to try it out with you and see if we can test your limits. So now you're being intentional. Unintentional means you planned the date, you surprised her, and it was rock climbing, and you totally forgot that she was scared of heights. This shows that you are not remembering certain things, so you're not present as well. This creates a safeness for women. When women know that a man can hold emotional support for us and remember our wants, our needs, our fears, our desires, we can look at him as the masculine man because we looked at him as the protector internally and instinctively. And that's like so important for you guys to understand. Now, I'm not saying a woman shouldn't do the same thing for you, but I'm here helping you guys as well. And this is stuff that you should look for within a woman as well when it comes to nurturing things. How does she nurture you? How does she bring you up? What is her behavior? Which I have plenty of videos about. Next thing in regards to the type of seduction that women crave is you show confidence with your body language, okay? And you make sure she is comfortable, right? Okay, so you don't have to be on a date and say, are you comfortable? I just want to make sure you're comfortable. Like, of course not, right? You guys, you gotta pick up and get better at, if you're not, you have to get good at social cues, right? Social cues are so important. And once you have social cues and understand them, this is a freaking game changer, guys. It's literally like no one has to talk to you and you already know the answer by body language. So what's really important here is showing confidence. There's a difference. I remember, and I did a video and I'll put it up in the cards if it's ready. It's with Jeremy Fragrance. And one of the things that I told him in regards to his charisma is he's very good with body language. He is not ashamed to put himself out there, embarrass himself, and do whatever he wants by dancing. He doesn't even think it's embarrassing because it's his personality and he owns it. So that is one of the things that I talk about in the video, and I'll put it up here in the cards. But body language is so important, guys. And body language is just not how you put your shoulders back and stand. It's how you articulate yourself, how your voice is being articulated too. If you are very monotone all the time, give spikes in your voice, show interest, engage in eye contact, but being comfortable with your own body. So if you need help with body language, there's a bunch of activities that do help you. But the biggest thing I always say to you guys, you are your own teacher in life. And there's people that can help you, give you the tools and provide you the lessons. But unless you go ahead and work on it and teach yourself the lessons that they're providing you, you are not going to get anywhere unless you do this. So what I'm saying and why I say this is because if you suffer and you're kind of confused and you kind of come off quirky with your body language and you're like timid about it and you're not shy and you're very shy about it and you're awkward and you're not confident really about your body language, the type of things that I have clients do are probably outrageous to some. But two of the things that I would recommend for you on just in this video, unless you do a coaching session with me, I can actually help you with this, is you have to make sure you step out of your bubble. First thing is doing Toastmasters, doing public speaking classes. You don't have to become a public speaker, but you are here to get out of your comfort zone. And the second thing is acting classes. Wow. Does acting classes get you out of your bubble? Like, I've done it. It was the hardest thing for me because I'm not good at faking someone I'm not, but also too, like it's incredible of the amount of training that you have to do with your mindset to get into a certain role. And this is what I'm talking about. And this is what helps you develop and get more comfortable in your own skin.
In this video, we are actually going to talk about how to build sexual tension.
Yes.
I like this one.
I had to learn a fair bit of this myself because I had a hell of a lot of shyness, a lot of anxiety, and took that through from being a virgin at 21 to stripping at 26, 27. And so it was a long journey for me to learn what women wanted in this realm, what women wanted from men, because I was doing the exact opposite and had to figure out, okay, this is what they want.
Yeah. You know, and you shared a good story. And we're going to give you some tips, guys. So make sure really good tips. So make sure you stay to the end. But I really this is really effective right here, what I'm going to say. You shared some really good insight about your own personal journey. And I overheard you saying that you had social anxiety and you had to literally stand up and approach women like thousands of times and get rejected in order to overcome that.
Yeah.
And the reason why I love that you shared that story is because as the men know on my channel, I'm not against pickup artist mechanisms, but the thing about that is it puts a band-aid on exactly what is happening, right? So it's like you have to say this perfect thing to approach a girl. And then men get stressed because they don't know the perfect thing. They have social anxiety on top of that, so they never end up approaching.
Yeah.
So it's a cross effect. Yeah, and it's not good and it's not healthy. And so that's why I love, that you shared that story, because what I always tell men is, like, in order to build tension or to even get to approach a woman is you have to just try.
Yeah, you've got to start. And once you do it a few times, you get rejected, and then you're like, oh, this doesn't matter that much. You do it again, and you start to get some better responses. And yeah, it takes time. And yeah, you've got to be doing stuff in your own life as well. Again, I think pickup encourages action taking, which is a good thing, but there's also a lot of insecurity that drives it. So if you're doing that, and then you're in a really good place in your own life, and just ask yourself, well, what am I scared of that I'm not doing right now in my own life to get on my purpose? Once you're doing that, and then you're approaching women, taking action as well, that gives you momentum. You feel more confident within yourself. Women start to respond better, and you can start to get more comfortable with being sexual and have it calibrated.
Yeah, and I like that because that leads me into tip number one that I'm giving them is, in order to build sexual tension, remember that there's a bigger presence in a man being super comfortable and how are you?
Yeah. Just chill.
So chill. Instead of trying to fill in those silent moments.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy think of the lion. Women are wanting a lion, but what do lions do most of the time? They freaking sleep.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, that's a good one.
If you've, your partner, Alex, he's like a big, handsome dude, but he's just in his own energy, right? Yep. He's very chill, and that's, I'm sure, what you find so sexy about him.
For sure.
You look at the people who are most secure, the men who are most secure, they're chill because they're sweet where they are, they're comfortable, confident where they are, so they're happy to give escalation a go, but if it doesn't work, yeah, cool. It's just so, she will feel that centeredness, and then want the guy more as a result.
Exactly. And that's what I say, like when I was dating and a man was very laid back and chill, or just my partner now, that's exactly how he was with me. I was like, in my mind, what do I have to do to make myself better? What do I have to do? So I'm on pins and needles because I want to impress him, but in a healthy way, right?
Yeah.
So that's where that comes from, because a lot of times men are not comfortable with the silent moments. What I always say, silent moments are your best friend, because if you're on a date and you sit back and there's a silent moment and you see her awkward and you just look at her and just smile, that's one way you build sexual tension.
Shows you chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it shows you chill.
Women love that.
And you go, all right, let's go for a walk.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she's cool. And he's fine with it. He's cool. And then you're going out and yeah, you're in your own space.
Yeah. And another tip I have is tip number 2, and you tell me what you think about this, is a man should be okay with his sexuality, like sex, right?
Huge.
Yes. And
I love sex.
Yeah, exactly. It's sometimes, okay, so for example, let's say I'm on a date with a guy and I say something like, I just put on these nice pair of panties today. She's actually initiating something for you. And a lot of times,
that's like the king of all green flags right there.
Exactly. But a lot of times, honestly, men will be, I don't know what to do with this, and they freeze up, and then they avoid the question, or they just laugh it off, when you could have just said, I would like to see, or what color are they, and that's how you are grounded in your sexuality as a man, and it's not meant to be hidden.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, if you're lucky, you might get to show them later.
Exactly.
That's a little cocky, but if you're just chill about it and your delivery is right, she'll give you shit back, and then it'll work just fine.
Right.
It's really about owning that side, because we've all met women as well who are just, they're comfortable with their sexuality, the way they walk, the way they move, the little, you say something and she's like, that's what he said, and you're like, damn, like her mind's on sex all the time, she's clearly comfortable with it, which is what makes her so sexy. And then we've also met women who are very standoffish, weird about sex, and they're clearly not owning it. And unless you want the validation of having sex with her anyway, it's really not actually that radiant or that attractive. So when someone believes something, we buy into that belief. So if you are not fully going, hey, I'm sexual and I can own it, then the women, she'll buy into that too and say, oh, he's not sexual, he's not owning it, and there's a disconnect there.
Disconnect, like I'm just not feeling it. That's what the woman typically
says.
It's
all just feeling.
She's
just
not
like,
there.
oh, I just didn't want to do it, I just went home instead.
Exactly. And you
That's
don't have
all
to
it is.
Exactly. And I agree. And it's like a man can also do something like, what do you think about public affection? And just ask her a question like, what do you think about public affection? He's not diving in and being like very sexual, but he's getting her to think differently too.
Just kind of bringing up the topics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For a woman, that's probably kind of stand back about her sexuality, because also that's culture differences, probably things like that. And I think that's huge, that's a point that a man has in being firm with his sexuality, and that is so big.
Yeah, and you'll get a real feel for this, because I remember when I was first going out, a woman would have had to almost FedEx me a court order to be sexual with her. Like, everything she did or said, I was like, oh, she's probably just being friendly. And then, women can be very subtle with this. It's a touch, it's a lean against, it's just laughing at jokes that aren't funny, but she's doing it anyway. Those are all the things that naturally you go, okay, I'm pretty sure she likes me, so I'll move close to her, or I'll bring her into me once and give her a hug, or I'll try to kiss her. And you'll get your answer, and 80% of the time, it's like, oh, yep, she was ready, she kissed me back. Or, yep, she was ready, she leaned in when I pulled her in. And they're very responsive. So if she's leaning back being cold, that's probably not, you're going to have to like center yourself more. But know what women do. Know those little green flags, I don't know if you use that term, because they will show when they want you to move. And then just do it. And that's where it's good to get used to getting rejected, because it'll take some calibration. But once you've done it, you chill with whatever happens. I actually remember one of the first dates I ever went on, I had this concept in my head, and at this point I'd only ever dated like 3 women ever, and I was like, okay, she's sitting next to me, I'll try to kiss her. She turned her cheek. Damn it, okay, what is it? Be centered. Tried to kiss her 8 times throughout the day, just at various hour-long intervals, and it took until about 8 p.m. that she kissed me, and then she was comfortable, we slept together that night, and it was fine. But if she just wasn't feeling comfortable yet.
Yeah, and that's like time. And that's why I always say to men, like, pace yourself. And I think you just gave them tip 3. It's like physical.
So like lightly touch her hand, touch her lower back, even like kind of sometimes always do this move with her hair and say you have beautiful hair, and get that physicality in there and start to mirror her. See if she touches your shoulder, you know, and then mirror what she's doing too if you're unsure. And I think that is good. So you gave him a really good tip on tip 3.
You'll get the vibe for it. You'll just, you know, you'll do a little thing and you'll see how she responds. Does she get more or less comfortable? Cool. She's more comfortable. Take a bit of time, do it again soon. If not, dial back and just get yourself back into your own fun vibe. Because as soon as, like, if she's like a little bit uncomfortable and then you go weird, the date just goes downhill from there. But if she's like a little bit uncomfortable and you're like, come on, let's have fun, and you just like drag her along for the next part of the experience, she's like, okay, he was really cool with that, so probably if I go home with him, he's going to be safe, so I can just continue to assess him.
Exactly. I mean, you are in total assessment mode until leading up to that place.
Yeah, exactly. Never ever assume she's going to have sex with you until you've already had sex with her.
Yeah.
Like literally. Because you can be in bed, it can not do that. Just never ever assume it. Just see what happens, escalate along the way, and then gauge each response and take feedback.
I agree. Yeah. I have a question for you too, Mark. What like since you coach so many women, what makes them stick with a man, like sexually? Like what makes them continue to sexually desire them?
Honestly, being good at sex.
Okay, there you go.
Like if you can give a woman a great sexual experience, then that's very addictive. It is. It releases a lot of chemicals.
Like how honest you were. Yeah.
Yeah. It's if you're bad at sex, like I have a funny relationship with my ex now. She's an amazing woman. And we weren't compatible, so we broke up for the right reasons. But we share each other's sex lives and things. It's become a really cool friendship. And she'll be like, oh God, I'm never sleeping with him again. Like it was just bad. And this isn't to put pressure on yourself. Like, believe me, I've disappointed plenty of women in my time too. But you need to just get comfortable with it. Like, learn how to please her. And if you can give her a good experience, sexually speaking, that's what sexual connection's about.
Yeah, and as a woman, time is important.
Caring about her,
paying attention to her signals in her body. You know, when she flexes, that means it's good. When she doesn't flex, that means it's bad. You know, so you'd like different things like that. I actually did a video about that with a sex expert, and I'll put it up here in the cards for you guys. But yeah, that's a really good tip. And lastly, too, is I wanna be really clear about this when it comes to building sexual tension. Now, there is a difference between a man that takes the lead and know who he is on his purpose, but then there's a difference between a man being forceful and being very aggressive in trying to pursue a woman. And it's really important that we understand the difference of the two, because never do I want you to be that aggressive person. I always want you to be that leader.
100%,
and you made a good tip on how to be that leader in the beginning of this video, and that's just by, like, if she doesn't want to kiss you, you just sit back and you're just like, okay,
cool. You don't like. I'm not obsessed with getting the kiss. I feel like kissing her, so I'll lean and kiss. Okay, she didn't kiss me. Cool, I'll do something else now. You know, it's really, if she feels, she should be able to feel, and you've probably felt this at some point when you're in bed with a woman, is you kind of move over to her and then you get this pushback. Cool, push back. You know, then just be super relaxed about it. And it's all about, she's monitoring your responses. She's checking in on her safety constantly, and she's checking how aware you are of hers. Because if you've got to forceful or aggressive, it means you've lost awareness of her responses, and she is not feeling safe. She is not going to do anything with you.
She's checked out.
She's done.
She's done, exactly.
So she is monitoring to see how well you're monitoring. How well can you read her? If she gives a subtle push off, are you reading that? That's why it's like, don't ever get obsessed with the outcome. Just constantly be centered in yourself and enjoy the moment with her, and she'll come to you with her sexuality, as long as you're like making an attempt or making a move at some point.
Exactly, the natural flow.
Yeah.
Hi guys, and thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you're notified every time I post a new video. And also here I have a next video for you to watch all about attraction, dating, and to have a better relationship in regards to your dating life and attraction skills for you to master the art of attraction and get the woman that you desire. I'll see you in the next video, and remember, you are always loved. Bye for now.